Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 77 of Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. My name is Bill Pivets. I apologize for skipping last week's episode. I was obviously there in person, seeing that it took place in Brooklyn, and I didn't feel that the episode was necessary to recap. Ty Dillinger and Blake match was whatever. It was good to see Ty Dillinger there, but there wasn't really anything to it. And Authors of Pain destroyed TM61, so I really didn't feel like there was anything to recap. We saw all the video packages highlighting some of the stuff from TakeOver. So it was just a filler episode to get into the new weeks of tapings, which kicked off this week. There was a video. There was like a video package. So one of the trainers was standing with Samoa Joe and William Regal. He said that Joe had other injuries that he didn't disclose, and he will not be competing anytime soon. Shinsuke Nakamura will be on the show as well, celebrating his title win. And Tom Phillips, Corey Graves introduced us, and Phillips had his line saying that it's going to be perfect, which then transitioned into Ty Dillinger. He kicked off things against Buddy Murphy. Not the greatest match either. I think it was better than the match he had against Wesley Blake, but I'll get into that a little later. The crowd was chanting 1 at Murphy. Wasn't as good as the Blake's 0 chant that we had in Brooklyn. Murphy landed a snapmare and mocked Dillinger's 10 gesture with like the 10 fingers. Probably the most exciting part of this match, at least the first few minutes anyway. Dillinger returned the favor a few moments later. For the most part, Murphy was in control. He landed a double knee stomp from the top rope. Ty kicked out, and we went to a commercial break. Back from the break, Murphy was in control for a little bit longer before Dillinger made his comeback and won with what he calls the tiebreaker, the fireman's carry into the neckbreaker to get the win. So I think the finish was more exciting, and I actually like the name of the finish, tiebreaker. It's pretty cool. As for Dillinger, they're building him up again. We've seen this before, getting him wins. He's now defeated Blake and Murphy in back-to-back weeks. Let's just see where it goes. I think this is where NXT could benefit from having a secondary title. I've said it in the past with guys like Tyler Breeze, maybe even Rhino when he was there for a hot minute. Just some of these mid-card guys, obviously, that are getting wins, but they aren't in that title picture yet because the NXT title picture is home to a select few. In this case, it's Joe and Nakamura. There's really no other contenders on the show. So having another title for these guys to compete for would make things a lot more interesting. I know it's only a 1-hour show, so there's only so much to build towards. But these TakeOver specials, I think they'll benefit from having a 4th championship because they could fit 6-7 matches on these shows in their 2.5 hours. So Dillinger I could definitely see being a mid-card champion if NXT had one. But now, as for Blake and Murphy, they've lost to Ty Dillinger. They're essentially went from tag team champions to jobbers, and it's very interesting to see how quickly things can turn on them in NXT. Maybe they should just stick them as a tag team, because the tag team division in NXT is kind of fallen by the wayside. I know we have the Revival, Gargano and Ciampa, TM61, Authors of Pain, and now that's about it. So maybe Blake and Murphy as another heel team would do them pretty good. We got highlights from the NXT Tag Title Match. Speaking of the tag teams, they then transitioned to the Cruiserweight Classic where Gargano lost. And I think her name was Charlie, who interviewed Tommaso Ciampa asking for an update on Gargano. He started talking before the Revival interrupted. He looked over both of his shoulders, and then he started attacking the Revival, but the numbers game caught up. They brawled all the way back to the ring. After the beatdown, the Revival cut a promo on Ciampa and Gargano. Ciampa slowly crawled back into the ring. The Revival destroyed him. They connected with the Shatter Machine, and they slowly walked up the ramp as Ciampa was agonizing in pain. I give Ciampa a lot of credit, trying to take on both champions, but the Revival, obviously, the numbers game was just too much, and it made sense that since they wrote off Gargano with his knee injury, to write off Ciampa as well, and they have a few more weeks, maybe even a couple months to build towards the rematch at the next TakeOver special. So just leaving these two out and letting them stay off TV until their return will give them that huge reaction when I'm assuming they do come back to challenge the Revival again. Second match, Steve Cutler versus Kenneth Crawford. Both of these guys were wearing red trunks, so it was a little awkward. At the end of the match, Cutler cut Crawford off. He landed a fisherman driver to get the win. Didn't really care for this match. I was bored. They had some cool spots throughout it, but nothing really memorable. I don't know what this Steve Cutler's all about. I know he's a former Army vet, so thank you for that, but his character is whatever. Hideo was interviewed backstage. He was asked about Austin Aries. He said he kicked Aries in the head with his sockless loafers. You gotta laugh at him, me. He said it was a huge moment for him, and that Aries was crying that he had a ruptured eardrum, called him a baby, and if he doesn't want to feel the pain, get out of his ring, or Itami will make him go to sleep again. That might be Hideo Itami's best promo to date. I like the intensity around it, that he's not taking any bull. He's calling out Aries for being a wimp with his busted eardrum. And his English was much better. And I know he struggled a little bit, so just being able to follow along and, I don't want to say be able to understand, but comprehend, I guess. I mean, it's the same word. What he's going through and what he's saying in this promo made for an interesting segment. We then got a video package for the Sami Zayn Nakamura match back in Dallas. And we got another one of those Sanity vignettes that we saw at TakeOver. And there was a TM61 hype video right after that. The voiceover said that they came here to win the NXT Tag Titles, and they will. But after getting squashed by Authors of Pain last week, I don't see that happening in the near future. Third match, No Way Jose versus Angelo Dawkins. Dawkins is all over the place. He's trying to be this confident athlete. He's doing the bowl mixing thing, whatever taunt that is. He did LeBron's push down. What is he trying to be? He loses every match. I don't know why he has all this confidence. I get it's his character, but it's falling flat for me. Something happened. Jose hit his full Nelson Slam and got the win. Another match I really couldn't care less about. Outcome was predictable. They're going to build back No Way Jose up after his loss from TakeOver. Dawkins is a joke. He's not getting a win anytime soon. But after the match, Jose went to the crowd to celebrate, so he's back on the good graces of the fans there. Andrade Cien Almas was asked how he was going to rebound after his loss, but Austin Aries interrupted. He's furious at Hideo Itami and decided to cut Almas off. Almas then went off on him in Spanish. Aries said, "I don't understand you." Almas spoke English, saying he wants him in the ring next week. Aries played a little joke about his ear, saying he really couldn't hear him. He spoke into his bad ear and walked off. You got another Nakamura video. This time it was against Finn Balor in the July 13th episode of NXT. Fourth and final match of the show was Liv Morgan versus Aaliyah. Aaliyah was playing the heel here. She was aggressive early. Liv landed a head scissors takedown, but Aaliyah cut her off and took control again. She landed a nice running crossbody and a stunner between the ropes. She then locked in this weird Kimura lock with a head scissors submission move. Nice looking. I liked it. Morgan made her comeback, couple clotheslines. She then barely connected with this spinning back kick to get the win. Decent match. I think they were rushing a little bit. Liv Morgan is over with the crowd. The crowd was chanting Jersey, which obviously Corey Graves mocked them for. I'm still impressed with Aaliyah, though. The progress that she made from breaking ground last year, or whatever year it was, till now. Great stuff. I'm impressed. Big improvement for her. Again, this women's division is all in a disarray with all the people that left and a lack of credible challengers for Asuka. You got her, Ember Moon, and I think that's about it. They're slowly building up Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, so we'll get there. It's just going to take a lot of time. Backstage, No Way Jose was asked about his win over Angelo Dawkins. He said that TakeOver halted his momentum, but he's taken this conga line straight to the top. Bobby Roode walked up. He eyed Jose up and down and said, "Nice head," before walking away. So it looks like Aries and Roode just traded opponents for the time being. We got a third and final Nakamura video highlighting his win at TakeOver Brooklyn. And that led us to the final segment of Nakamura celebrating his championship win, made his entrance. The title does look good around his waist. I can't argue with that. He looks like a champion. There was a loud Nakamura and "you deserve it" chants. He said he accomplished everything he could in Japan, and he wanted to face the best competition in the world. There was only one place to go, NXT. He said he wanted to challenge himself, so he took on the best in Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe. Through all the pain, he became the NXT champion. He's got great respect for Joe, but Joe's era is over. It's the era of strong style. Music hit, celebrated, and out he went. Good promo by him. Obviously, he's over with the crowd. He seems very humble in his words, saying that he's worked for everything that he's got. Couple words that I couldn't understand, or he had trouble getting his sentences across because of obviously the language barrier. But it wasn't anything that took away from the importance of this segment. It was a good way to cap the show, have your champion come out, celebrate, address the crowd. And this was the real follow-up to TakeOver. He really didn't do anything last week. Obviously, they had the video segment, but that was about it. And it was a simple way to end the show. Next week is where things start to pick up, I believe. A lot of squash matches, though, this week. I couldn't care less about the Crawford and Cutler match. No Way Jose was going to win regardless. I'm just hoping we get some of the bigger names back on TV, like an Ember Moon, Asuka. I know we had some segments with Aries and Rude, but they weren't in any matches. I'm assuming they're going to do the Almas Aries match next week, but nothing was official. We really don't have any confirmation what's going on next week, but we'll see. Like I said, just hoping we get some of these, some of the big name stars that NXT has back on the show. All right, so that was episode 77, Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. If you guys want, follow me on Twitter at @bpiv_sports. I tweet about pretty much everything: WWE, NXT, baseball, basketball sometimes, football, MMA. So I'm all over the place if you want to interact with me there. I also do fantasy sports. I'm giving out advice. I do write for Fansided. So if you guys are looking for baseball advice with the playoffs coming, hit me up on Twitter. And if you guys don't mind, rate, review the show, iTunes, Podbean. Speaking of that, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing Podbean. I wanted to address this last week, but I didn't get around to it. Things are changing right now, not to get too personal, but I'm going to possibly be ending my subscription with Podbean to host my podcast. So I might be going strictly YouTube. I'll make a decision probably in a week or two. So if you don't see anything on your podcast services, that'll be the reason why. But like I said, I'll just make a decision, I think, next week or the week after. All right, guys, thanks for checking out my podcast. I'll be back next week with episode 78. Peace.